Imagine a world where God does not exist. No higher authority, no divine justice, no eternal goal. In such a world, what would humanity mean? Would compassion, morality, and dignity still hold any real weight, or would they slowly dissolve into personal preference and cultural convention? This is not just a thought experiment. It is a question that sits at the very heart of our society, a society that often lives as if God were irrelevant. And yet, whether we realize it or not, everything we take for granted, human rights, dignity, moral responsibility, even the very idea of love, depends on God's existence. To understand why, let's go back for a moment to the foundations of philosophy. Ancient thinkers like Plato and Aristotle already recognized that morality could not be reduced to mere opinion. There had to be something higher, something objective, that gave our actions meaning. Aristotle spoke of the highest good, the telos, the ultimate end toward which human life must aim. But it was Christianity that revealed the true nature of that highest good, not just an abstract idea, but the living God, who created us in His image and destined us for eternal life with Him. Now, let's imagine what happens if we take God out of the picture. Without God, morality has no absolute foundation. What we call good or evil becomes nothing more than human preference. As Dostoevsky famously put it, if God does not exist, everything is permitted. Of course, many atheists will object. They will say, I don't believe in God and I still live morally. I still love my family, respect others, and fight for justice. And that's true on the surface. But the deeper question is this: why? Why should anyone be obliged to act morally if there is no God? If morality is nothing more than a social construct, then it can be changed at will. What was once considered wrong can suddenly be called right, simply because the majority decides so. And history has shown us the terrifying consequences of this logic. Think of the 20th century, an age marked by regimes that tried to build a world without God. Nazi Germany and Soviet communism, though radically different, had one thing in common. They rejected the idea that every human being is created in the image of God. And once that foundation was gone, humanity itself became negotiable. Some people were declared less human than others, and millions paid the price. When God disappears, human dignity disappears with him. In contrast, the Christian view of humanity is radically different. The Bible tells us in the very first chapter of Genesis that God created man in his image and likeness. That means every human being, no matter how weak, poor, or unwanted, has an infinite worth. That is the true foundation of what we call human rights. Without God, these rights are nothing but fragile agreements, easily overturned. With God, they are unshakable truths, written into the very fabric of reality. But let's go even deeper. Humanity is not just about rights and dignity. It is about love. And here again, without God, love collapses into a mere chemical reaction or a social instinct. Modern materialism tells us that what we call love is nothing more than the brain releasing dopamine, oxytocin, and other chemicals that help the species survive. But if that is all love is, then why sacrifice yourself for another person? Why lay down your life for your child, your spouse, or even a stranger? Love that costs something, love that is willing to suffer, only makes sense if there is something beyond survival, something eternal. Christianity teaches us that God is love, and that human love is a reflection of His divine love. This is why love has power, why it has meaning, why it can move mountains and inspire saints. Of course, there are those who argue that humanity must grow up, that we no longer need God to guide us. They claim that reason and science are enough. But the truth is, reason without God becomes cold and calculating. Science without God becomes dangerous. Technology without God creates tools of destruction rather than instruments of peace. We cannot separate humanity from its creator without eventually destroying ourselves. And yet, this is the paradox of our time. We live in a society that still talks about dignity, justice, equality, and compassion, but often without acknowledging their source. It is like cutting flowers from their roots. They may look beautiful for a while, but they will soon wither and die. The same is true of our moral values. Detached from God, they cannot survive. They become hollow words, easily twisted to justify anything. So what does this mean for us, here and now? It means that rediscovering God is not just a matter of personal belief. It is a matter of survival for our civilization. Without God, we lose not only our eternal destiny, but also our humanity in this life. With God, we discover who we truly are, children of the Father, created in His image, redeemed by His Son, and called to eternal communion with Him. This is why the Catholic Church insists that faith and reason are not enemies, but allies. Reason helps us see the natural law, the moral order inscribed in creation. Faith reveals the fullness of truth, the ultimate meaning of that order. Together, they show us that humanity cannot be understood apart from God. A purely secular humanism, no matter how well-intentioned, is doomed to fail because it forgets the very source of what it means to be human. Let us not forget that Jesus himself, the Son of God made man, shows us the fullness of humanity. In him we see what it truly means to be human, to live in love, to give ourselves completely, to unite our lives with God. Far from diminishing our humanity, God elevates it. The more we are united to Him, the more human we become. This is why the saints are the most fully human people who have ever lived. They did not lose themselves in God. They found themselves in Him. So the next time someone tells you that we don't need God to be human, remember this. Without God, humanity slowly fades into nothing. But with God, humanity reaches heights we could never imagine. The question, "Without God, no humanity," is not just a clever title. It is the most urgent question of our age. And the answer, grounded in faith and reason, is clear. Yes, without God we lose humanity. But with God we discover who we really are. If you've stayed with me until now, take a moment to reflect on this truth. What do you believe humanity really is? A cosmic accident, a bundle of desires, a fleeting moment in the history of the universe, or a being created in love, destined for eternity, made in the very image of God? Your answer to that question will shape not only your life but also the future of our society, because in the end, it is not science, politics, or technology that defines humanity. It is our relationship with God. And without Him, we are lost. But with Him, we are more alive than ever.